Part 1. The Architecture of Attraction. Welcome, my friend. It is deeply, profoundly good to sit with you here again. Find a quiet space within your mind as we begin, and just breathe for a moment. Feel the rhythm of your own existence. We are on a journey together, you and I, stepping away from the noise, the frantic rushing, and the endless anxiety of the modern world. You have arrived at the elevated within. Here, we do not merely scratch the surface of life. We dive into the very architecture of reality. We seek not just to survive, but to master the unseen currents that dictate our visible world. Before we cross the threshold into today's profound exploration, I want to invite you to do something simple but significant. Please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. I do not ask this simply for metrics. I ask because this act is a declaration. By subscribing, you are anchoring yourself to a frequency of growth. You are signaling to the universe and to your own subconscious that you are ready to receive, ready to understand, and ready to walk this elevated path with a community of kindred spirits. Let that simple click be your first intentional act of the day. A quiet agreement between you and the world that you are stepping into a higher version of yourself. Now, let us speak of attraction. Let us speak of people, of connections, of the magnetic pull that brings opportunities, love, and money into our lives. We have all been taught to chase. From our earliest days, society conditions us to believe that the things we desire, true wealth, deeply fulfilling relationships, a life of abundance, are out there, somewhere in the distance, running away from us. We are told we must hunt them down. We must outwork, outrun, and outsmart everyone else to capture our prize. But I want to tell you a truth that is as old as the stars and as intimate as your next breath. The universe does not respond to what you want. The universe responds to what you are. Consider the teachings of what many call the law of attraction, popularized by The Secret. At its core, the message is profoundly simple, yet infinite in its application. Like attracts like. But where so many falter is in believing that a fleeting thought of $1 million or a momentary daydream of a perfect partner is enough to override a baseline frequency of scarcity and loneliness. Your mind is a transmitter. It is a broadcasting station, sending out signals every single millisecond of your existence. When you want something desperately, the frequency you are broadcasting is not the frequency of the thing you desire. It is the frequency of the lack of that thing. When you say, "I want money," the universe hears, "I do not have money, and I am afraid." When you say, "I want love," the universe hears, "I am alone, and I am empty." You cannot attract abundance from a state of internal poverty. The Secret illuminated the reality that everything in this universe is energy, vibrating at different frequencies. Wealth is a frequency. Joy is a frequency. Deep, soulful human connection is a frequency. To attract these things, you must tune the instrument of your own being to match them. Think of a tuning fork. If you strike a tuning fork pitched to the note of A and bring it near a guitar, only the A string will vibrate in response. The other strings will remain silent. In the grand symphony of existence, what note are you striking? Are you vibrating with gratitude, peace, and an unshakable knowing of your own worth? Or are you vibrating with anxiety, jealousy, and the frantic energy of the chase? If you wish to attract money, you must become money, not in a literal sense, but in an energetic one. You must cultivate the feeling of having more than enough. You must walk through the world not as a beggar seeking alms, but as an overflowing vessel. If you wish to attract the right people, those who will elevate you, challenge you, and love you authentically, you must first become the kind of person who elevates, challenges, and loves authentically. You must become the magnet. A magnet does not strain, it does not force. It simply exists in its true nature, and the iron is inevitably drawn to it. This is the architecture of attraction. It is a quiet, powerful, undeniable force that begins entirely within the silent chambers of your own mind and spirit. Let us deepen this understanding by turning to the ancient, eternal wisdom of the Bible. In the book of Proverbs, there is a verse that holds the key to the entire mystery of human existence. Proverbs 23:7 states, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." Listen closely to those words. It does not say, "as a man thinks in his head." It says, "in his heart." This is a crucial distinction. The mind can entertain 1,000 fleeting thoughts a day. You can stand in front of a mirror and recite affirmations about wealth and love until your voice goes hoarse. But if your heart, the deepest, most resonant core of your subconscious belief system, feels unworthy, frightened, and impoverished, then that is what you are, and that is what you will attract. The ancient writers understood that the heart is the seat of our true frequency. It is the intersection of thought and emotion. When a thought drops from the intellect into the heart, it becomes a conviction. It becomes faith. And it is this internalized conviction that shapes the external world. If you look at the life of Jesus, he constantly pointed to the internal state as the source of external reality. He said, "The kingdom of God is within you." As evident, this is not merely a theological concept, it is a practical blueprint for living. The kingdom, the realm of infinite resource, perfect peace, and unshakable power, is not a place you go to after you die. It is a state of consciousness you enter into right now. When you align your heart with the truth of your inherent worth, you stop repelling the very things you desire. Have you ever noticed how people who are desperate for a relationship seem to drive potential partners away? Have you observed how those who grasp the tightest at money seem to watch it slip through their fingers like dry sand? This is the law at work. Their outward actions of pursuit are contradicted by their inward state of lack. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. The external world is nothing but a mirror, flawlessly reflecting the condition of your internal landscape. If the mirror shows a life of struggle and isolation, do not attempt to reach out and manipulate the glass. That is madness. You must change the face looking into it. You must change yourself. To begin this transformation, you must observe your internal dialogue without judgment. For the next 24 hours, watch the thoughts that cross your mind concerning people and money. Are they rooted in fear? Are you keeping score of who owes you what? Are you looking at the success of others with resentment, or are you genuinely celebrating it? If you feel a twinge of jealousy when a friend achieves a financial breakthrough, realize that in that moment, your heart is vibrating with poverty. You are telling the universe that there is not enough to go around, and therefore you are cutting yourself off from the flow. Instead, you must train your heart to see another's success as proof that abundance exists and that it is moving closer to you. You must bless what you want. This is the elevated path. It requires discipline. It requires you to stop blaming the economy, your boss, your past relationships, or your circumstances for your current reality. Taking absolute responsibility for your internal state is the most terrifying and liberating thing you will ever do, because the moment you accept that your thoughts and feelings are the architects of your life, you reclaim the power to tear down the old structures of limitation and build a cathedral of abundance. You become the creator of your experience, rather than a victim of circumstance. We are only just beginning to lay the foundation. The realization that you are the magnet is the first step. But how do we take this quiet, internal shift and turn it into a burning, transformative fire that melts down the obstacles in our path? How do we take the theory of frequency and apply the relentless, purposeful action that forces reality to bend to our will? This requires a profound alchemy, a transmutation of desire into tangible form, which we will explore next as we journey further into the mechanics of manifestation. Keep your heart open and your mind elevated. Part 2. The Alchemy of Desire. The transition from understanding your frequency to manifesting your reality requires a specific kind of alchemy. It is the bridge between the silent prayer of the heart and the cold, hard currency of the material world. We have established that you are a magnet, but now we must discuss the electricity that powers that magnet. In the timeless masterpiece Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill spoke of a burning desire. This is not the flickering wish of a lazy mind. It is an obsessive, pulsating force that occupies the consciousness until it finds a way to translate itself into its physical equivalent. Think of desire as the seed. If you hold a seed in your hand, it contains the entire blueprint of a massive oak tree, but as long as it stays in your hand, it is just a potential. To bring that tree into existence, the seed must be cast into the earth, the subconscious, and then it must be nourished by the relentless sun of focused thought and the rain of consistent action. Hill's secret, which he refined over 20 years of studying the world's wealthiest men, was that thoughts are things, but they only become things when they are mixed with definiteness of purpose, persistence, and a burning desire for their transition into riches or other material objects. When we look at the collection of souls who have achieved massive success, we see one common thread. They did not try to become wealthy or try to meet the right people. They became consumed by the vision. This is where we see the bridge to the biblical principle of faith. Hebrews 11:1 tells us that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Notice the word substance. Faith is not a vapor, it is a mental substance. It is the spiritual raw material from which the physical world is constructed. When you have a burning desire for financial freedom or a high-level network, and you back that desire with unshakable faith, you are literally creating the substance of that reality in the unseen realm before it ever touches your bank account. But let us be clear, my friend, the universe has no room for the lukewarm. Many people fail to attract what they want because their desire is diluted. They want money, but they also fear the responsibility of it. They want high-level connections, but they are afraid of being judged by those they admire. This split energy cancels out the attraction. You must reach a point of total integration where your desire and your belief are one single laser-focused beam. This is what Napoleon Hill called transmutation. It is the process of taking the raw, creative energy of your human drive, including your social and physical drives, and redirecting that energy toward a single, definite major purpose. When you transmute your energy this way, you develop what the world calls luck, but what we know is actually a heightened state of magnetic awareness. You begin to see opportunities that were always there, but were invisible to your poverty-stricken consciousness. You meet a stranger at a coffee shop who happens to have the exact capital you need for your venture. You receive a phone call out of the blue that changes the trajectory of your career. To the uninitiated, these are accidents. To the elevated, this is the law of sowing and reaping in full effect. The Bible warns us, "Be not deceived, God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap." This is the ultimate law of the harvest. If you want to reap a harvest of financial abundance and influential friends, what are you sowing today? Are you sowing seeds of value? Are you looking for ways to serve more people, or are you only looking for ways to take? Money is simply a scorecard of the value you have provided to the marketplace. If you want more money, you must become more valuable. You must sow more service seeds. Napoleon Hill emphasized that there is no such thing as something for nothing. To attract wealth, you must determine exactly what you intend to give in return for the money you desire. This is a sacred contract. If you approach the universe asking for millions but offer no service, no product, and no value, you are violating the law of the harvest. You are trying to reap where you have not sown. But when you align your burning desire with a commitment to provide immense value to the world, you become an unstoppable force. The money does not just come to you, it rushes to you, because you have created a vacuum of value that the universe is obligated to fill. Faith, however, is the catalyst that keeps you moving when the physical evidence has not yet appeared. This is the period of gestation. Every seed has a period of time it must stay underground before the first sprout breaks the surface. This is where most people quit. They plant the seed of a new business or a new social circle. They water it for a week, and when they see nothing but dirt, they dig it up in frustration. They say, "This doesn't work." But the elevated mind knows that the work is happening in the dark. Faith without works is dead, the scriptures tell us. This means your internal belief must be mirrored by your external movement. You cannot sit on your couch, vibrating at the frequency of wealth, and expect a bag of gold to fall through the ceiling. You must move. You must act as if the thing you desire is already on its way. If you are seeking to attract high-level people, start carrying yourself like the person those people would want to know. Dress with the respect you want to receive. Speak with the clarity you expect from others. Manage the small amount of money you have now with the same discipline you would use to manage 10 million. By doing this, you are proving your faith through your works. You are signaling to the infinite intelligence that you are a prepared vessel. You are telling the universe, "I am ready for the harvest." This alignment of burning desire, specialized knowledge and persistent action creates a psychological momentum that Carl Jung would recognize as a precursor to total self-actualization. You are moving beyond the ego's small wishes and tapping into the deep, creative power of the human spirit. As you move through this stage of the journey, remember that your desire must be noble. If you seek money out of greed or a need to feel superior to others, you're building on a foundation of sand. The most magnetic people on earth are those whose desires benefit not just themselves, but the whole. When your burning desire includes the upliftment of your family, your community, and the world, you tap into a source of power that is far greater than your own individual will. You become a channel for the divine's own desire for expansion and expression. We have discussed the frequency and the fire. We have explored how to tune your heart and how to direct your will. But there is a final, darker piece of the puzzle that we must address. There are parts of you that you do not see, hidden shadows that may be working against your every effort. To truly become an irresistible magnet, we must go into the basement of the soul and integrate the parts of ourselves we have ignored. We must move into the realm of the shadow, where the true secrets of synchronicity are hidden. Stay with me, for the path becomes narrower and more rewarding from here. Part 3. The magnetism of the integrated self. My friend, we have ascended through the initial layers of attraction. We have tuned our frequency and ignited the fire of burning desire. But now, we must descend. To reach the heights of the elevated within, one must first be willing to walk through the basement of the soul. You may have the right thoughts, you may recite the most powerful affirmations, and you may even work harder than anyone you know. Yet, you might still find that money slips through your fingers like water, or that the people you truly admire remain just out of reach, separated from you by an invisible glass wall. This is not a failure of the law of attraction. This is the work of the shadow. The great Swiss psychologist Carl Jung, a master of the human psyche, understood that we are not merely our conscious minds. We are vast, oceanic beings, and the part of us that navigates the daylight, the ego, is but a tiny boat on the surface of a deep, dark sea. Below that surface lies the unconscious, a realm where we store everything about ourselves that we have deemed unacceptable, shameful, or too much. This is the shadow. And here is the secret that most teachers of wealth will never tell you. You cannot attract what you subconsciously despise. You cannot keep what you secretly feel unworthy of possessing. If you grew up in an environment where you were told that money is the root of all evil, or that it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God, those words did not simply vanish when you decided you wanted to be successful. They sank. They became part of the architectural foundation of your shadow. Now, as an adult, every time you get close to a financial breakthrough, your shadow, acting as a misguided protector, sabotages you. It breaks the deal. It causes the accidental overspending. It creates the conflict with the mentor. Why? Because it is trying to keep you good and righteous according to those old hidden programs. It is protecting you from the evil of wealth. To attract money and high-value people, you must perform the alchemy of shadow work. You must bring a lantern into those dark corners and ask the difficult questions. What do I secretly believe about wealth? What do I secretly believe about my own worthiness to walk among the giants? Am I afraid that if I become powerful, I will become unlovable? Jung famously warned us that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. If you feel like bad luck keeps hitting your bank account or your social life, I tell you now, it isn't fate. It is your shadow acting out its hidden script in the theater of your life. Think of the biblical narrative of the divided house. Jesus taught that a house divided against itself cannot stand. If your conscious mind wants $1 million, but your subconscious shadow believes that money will make you a bad person, you are a house divided. You are pushing and pulling at the same time. This creates a static in your vibration that repels the very things you seek. To become a magnet, you must become whole. You must integrate the shadow. You must look at your desire for money and realize it is not a sin. It is a divine urge for expansion, the same urge that makes a flower bloom or a star expand. Money is neutral energy. It is a magnifying glass. If you are a good person, money will allow you to be more of a good person. When you begin this integration, when you stop fighting yourself and start forgiving those old programs, something miraculous begins to happen. Jung called it synchronicity. Synchronicity is the phenomenon of meaningful coincidences. It is the moment the internal state and the external reality align so perfectly that it feels as though the universe is conspiring in your favor. When you are no longer repelling wealth with hidden guilt, or repelling high-value people with hidden feelings of inferiority, the external world responds with terrifying precision. You walk into a coffee shop, and the person sitting next to you happens to be the exact investor you've been looking for. You pick up a book, and it opens to the page that solves your business dilemma. These are not accidents. They are the results of an integrated self. When the eye is single, as the scriptures say, the whole body is full of light. This singleness is the end of the internal war. When your conscious desire for abundance and your subconscious permission for abundance become one, you become a gravitational well. Consider the story of Joseph in the Bible. He was a dreamer, a man of vision, yet he was sold into slavery by his own brothers and cast into a dungeon for years. Most people would have let their shadow consume them with bitterness and victimhood. But Joseph remained integrated. He remained all there. He continued to use his gifts, even in the dark. Because he didn't allow his internal state to be dictated by his external prison, the synchronicity of the universe eventually forced the Pharaoh, the most powerful man on earth, to send for him. Joseph didn't have to knock on the palace doors. The doors came to him. This is the ultimate magnetism. When you do the inner work to become whole, you no longer have to chase the world. The world begins to seek you out. High-value people, the mentors, the leaders, the visionaries, possess a rare radar. They can sense split energy from a mile away. If you approach a person of influence while carrying a hidden shadow of resentment or a secret feeling of, "I don't belong here," they will feel it as a subtle repulsion. They won't know why, but they will find an excuse to leave the conversation. But when you are integrated, when you have embraced your shadow and acknowledged your worth, you radiate a groundedness that is incredibly rare in this fractured world. People are drawn to authenticity. They are drawn to the person who is not wearing a mask. Integrating the shadow also means reclaiming your gold. Often, we put our best qualities, our power, our creativity, our leadership, into the shadow because we were told as children not to show off or be too loud. You must go back and reclaim that power. You must give yourself permission to be great. You must realize that your playing small does not serve the world. As you reclaim your power, you stop looking at wealthy or successful people with jealousy and start looking at them with recognition. You see them as mirrors of your own potential. This process is not a one-time event. It is a daily practice of awareness. It is about catching yourself when you feel that familiar contraction of fear or unworthiness and saying, "I see you, shadow. Thank you for trying to protect me, but I am safe to be powerful now. I am safe to be wealthy." Each time you do this, the glass wall between you and your desires becomes thinner. The luck in your life begins to increase. You begin to notice that the right people are suddenly everywhere. You are no longer a beggar at the gates of life. You are the architect. By cleaning the inside of the cup, as the ancient wisdom suggests, the outside becomes clean as a natural consequence. You are moving from the frantic struggle of the ego into the effortless flow of the spirit. You are becoming a person of substance. In the physical world, objects with more mass have more gravity. In the spiritual world, people with more internal integration have more magnetic pull. We are now standing at the threshold of the final stage. We have tuned the frequency. We have stoked the fire, and we have integrated the depths. Now we must learn the art of the harvest. We must learn how to live in the state of overflow, and where wealth and people are not just attracted, but are sustained and multiplied. We are moving toward the realization that the elevated within is a fountain that never runs dry. Keep your heart open. The final piece of the blueprint is about to be revealed. Part 4. The Elevated Harvest. My friend, we have traveled through the frequencies of the heart, the fires of desire, and the quiet, shadowed halls of the subconscious. We have done the work that most avoid. We have looked at the parts of ourselves that were hidden, and we have integrated them into a singular, powerful identity. Now, we stand at the threshold of the most beautiful part of the journey, the harvest. In the physical world, a farmer does not plant a seed and then immediately begin to eat. There is a season of growth, a season of protection, and finally, a season of gathering. In the spiritual and financial world, this is the state of overflow. This is where the wisdom of the secret, the strategy of think and grow rich, the depth of Carl Jung, and the eternal promises of the Bible converge into a living reality. When we speak of the elevated harvest, we are talking about the transition from attracting wealth and people to sustaining and multiplying them. It is one thing to catch lightning in a bottle. It is another to become the storm itself. The Bible tells us in the 23rd Psalm, "My cup runneth over." Have you ever truly meditated on that image? A cup that is full is a cup that is satisfied. But a cup that runs over is a cup that has become a source for everyone else. This is the ultimate secret to attracting and keeping money and high-value people. You must become a person of overflow. In the world of the unelevated, people seek money and connections to fill a hole inside themselves. They are like dry sponges, trying to suck moisture from the air. But you, my friend, have spent this time becoming the fountain. When you are a fountain, the water does not stay within you. It pours out of you. And here is the paradox of the universe. The more that pours out, the more the source must provide to keep the flow going. This is the law of circulation. Money is often called currency, from the Latin word currere, which means to run or to flow. If you try to dam up a river, the water becomes stagnant and the life within it dies. If you try to hoard the money and the people you have attracted out of fear that they will leave, you create a stagnant energy that eventually repels them. To live in the harvest, you must adopt the mindset of the steward. In the biblical parables, the servants who were given talents, units of currency, were judged not by how much they kept, but by how much they multiplied through use. The one who buried his talent out of fear lost even what he had. To attract massive wealth and keep it, you must prove to the infinite intelligence that you are a safe and effective channel for it. You must show that money in your hands will be used to create more value, more jobs, more beauty, and more goodness in the world. When you align your personal profit with the expansion of life itself, you are no longer working alone. You are backed by the entire momentum of the universe. Napoleon Hill spoke of the master mind, the coordination of knowledge and effort in a spirit of harmony between two or more people for the attainment of a definite purpose. This is where the people you have attracted become your greatest asset. In the harvest phase, you are no longer just a solo magnet. You are the center of a constellation. The high-value people who have been drawn to your integrated frequency are not there by accident. They are there because your overflow feeds their vision, and their overflow feeds yours. This is the kingdom principle in action. A community of individuals who are all operating at a high frequency, creating a collective gravity that attracts even more resources and even more influence. But how do you maintain this state of overflow when the world tries to pull you back into scarcity? You do it through the practice of absolute gratitude. In The Secret, gratitude is described as the fastest way to change your life. But in The Elevated Within, gratitude is more than a hack. It is an anchor. To be grateful for what you have attracted, even when it is just the first few sprouts of the harvest, is to tell the universe, I recognize the source and I am ready for more. Gratitude is the vibration of receiving. You cannot be grateful and fearful at the same time. They cannot occupy the same space in the heart. When you walk through your day, thanking the divine for the money in your pocket and the friends by your side, you are reinforcing the single I of abundance. You must also understand the concept of sacred stewardship over your social circle. The people you attract in this elevated state are guardians of your frequency. In the Bible, we see that even the greatest leaders had their inner circle. You must be intentional about who you allow into the sanctuary of your mind. As you attract more people, you will find that many are drawn to your light, not to contribute, but to consume. The elevated harvest requires the wisdom to discern between those who belong in your outer courts and those who belong in your holy of holies. This is not about being elitist. It is about protecting the frequency that allows you to serve the world. As the money begins to flow, and it will, with a speed that may startle you, you must remain grounded in the Jungian truth that your external wealth is a reflection of your internal wholeness. Do not let the harvest become your identity. If you define yourself by the money you have attracted, you become a slave to it. You begin to fear its loss, and that fear will eventually shut off the valve of attraction. Instead, see the wealth as evidence of things not seen. It is the physical proof that your inner work is successful. If it were all to vanish tomorrow, the integrated person is not destroyed, because they know they still possess the magnet within. They can build it all back, and more, because the source is internal, not external. This is the path of the noble architect. You have learned to tune your heart like a fine instrument. You have learned to direct your desire like a laser. You have learned to embrace your shadow and turn your internal darkness into the light of synchronicity. And now, you stand in the field of your life, watching as the people and the resources you once chased now come to you, asking for a place in your vision. Live in this state of overflow. Let your life be a testament to what is possible when a human being decides to stop being a victim of fate and starts being a creator of reality. Be generous with your wisdom, be disciplined with your resources, and be unshakable in your faith. The world does not need more people struggling for crumbs. The world needs you, standing in your full power, showing others how to find the elevated within. As we conclude this journey today, I want to thank you for walking this path with me. Your presence here is part of my own harvest, and I do not take it lightly. If this wisdom has resonated with the deepest parts of your soul, if you feel the shift beginning even now, I ask you once more to like this video and subscribe to the Elevated Within. Share this with one person who needs to be reminded of their own magnetic power. By sharing this light, you're practicing the law of overflow, and you're ensuring that your own cup will never run dry. Go forth today, not as a seeker, but as a finder's, not as a pursuer, but as the prize. Walk with the nobility of one who knows that the King of the universe has already provided everything you need. It is simply waiting for you to vibrate at its level. I am with you. The community is with you. And the spirit of abundance is within you. Until we meet again, stay elevated.